up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. I have the two new Moondust holiday palettes from Urban Decay to share with y'all today, and I think these are so cute. I do really love the Moondust formula from Urban Decay. I just think they are so pretty and sparkly on the lid, and personally, I don't always need something super shifty and reflective to make a beautiful look. Now, we are going to swatch these out, do some side-by-side comparisons, and then create a look, but before we do that, I want to give you some close-ups and all of the details on these two palettes. So up first we have this cute little quad. This one retails for $39 and is available at Sephora. Now all four of these are going to be Moondust shades, and these are all brand new for the holiday season. So up first we have A-List Energy, we have Space Cowboy Rides Again, and then down here we have Sparkle Hour, and then we have Lunar Lit. And then we have the cute little star palette. Now this one does flip open just like this, and this is going to be a 6-pan palette. So in here you actually have two matte shades, a matte with shimmer, and then you have 3 of the Moondust shades over here. Now these two right here, which are going to be Space Cowboy Rides Again and A-List Energy, are repeats from the quad, but everything else in here is new and exclusive to this palette in particular. So down here we have Endless Party, and then our matte with shimmer is going to be No Sleep Club. We have VIP Only and Vibing. This palette does retail for $49 and is available over at Ulta. Now I do want to mention, while both of these palettes are exclusive to either Sephora or Ulta, they are both available on the Urban Decay website. So if you're interested in both of them and you just want to pick them up in one fell swoop, they are available over there to do so. These are very limited edition, and all of the shades in these palettes are exclusive to these two palettes. So I don't think they're going to be doing restocks or anything like that. I know the ones that they released last year for holiday season sold out and they were gone. I didn't even get my hands on them. I hesitated and waited too long, but I will have both of these palettes listed and linked down below in the description box, as well as everything on my face and everything I used to complete these two looks today. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But let's go ahead and jump into these swatches and the comparisons. Okay, so before we jump into the actual swatches, I wanted to give you all a quick side-by-side close-up comparison of the two palettes. I know they're very different, but sometimes it helps to see them next to one another, especially when you're trying to make a purchasing decision. But let's go ahead and start by swatching out these two palettes. So I'm going to start with the quad, and then we'll move into the star palette. I did also bring out my original Space Cowboy Moondust as well, so we can compare this one to the new Space Cowboy and maybe some of the other shades in the palette. Alright, so up first we have the shade Space Cowboy Rides Again. This is going to be a light peach shimmer with silver glitter. That is absolutely gorgeous. I really like the way that one looks. Next we have the shade A-List Energy, and this is described as a peachy pink shimmer with magenta glitter. Oh, I love that one. Coming down to the bottom left, we have the shade Sparkle Hour. This is going to be a pink shimmer with silver glitter. And then last but not least, we have the shade Lunar Lit. This is going to be a warm brown with silver glitter in it. All of these are very beautiful. I like the color combination in here. This would make a really good companion palette. Alright, so moving on to the star palette, at first we have the shade Space Cowboy Rides Again, which is the same as in the first palette, and then we also have the shade A-List Energy as well. These are the two repeats from the quad, so I'm not going to go over the undertones and the flips in these ones, but I do want to swatch them out so you have a visual side-by-side comparison. Our other Moondust shade in this palette is going to be Endless Party. This is going to be a cool brown shimmer with silver glitter. That is a gorgeous shade. That will make a beautiful one and done. Next we have the shade No Sleep Club. This is going to be a warm matte brown with magenta glitter in it. And then we have two mattes in this palette as well. So up first we have the shade Vibing, which is going to be a soft peach nude matte. And then lastly we have the shade VIP Only, which is going to be a muted rose pink shade. That did not swatch out very well, did it? I'll go back and kind of reinforce that a little bit. But that is going to be your color story for the star palette. All right, so here are the two palettes swatched out side by side, and I think they're both beautiful. You are gonna get those same two shades in each of the palettes, but other than that, it really comes down to personal preference. You're obviously gonna get more variety when it comes to your looks with the Star palette because you do have these two mattes and then this matte with sparkle in here, but this one over here would be a really good like additional companion palette to your collection. Say you already have your mattes and you just want something to add a little bit of extra sparkle as toppers, inner corners, you could even use these as highlighters, and we might try that whenever we go in and create our look. I do think this is a really good option. But before we create our look with the Star palette, because I really want to see how these mattes are going to perform, I do want to compare the original Space Cowboy Moondust shade and see if we have anything that's the same, see how it compares to Space Cowboy Rides Again. So I'm just going to go ahead and if I can get this open, there we go, pick this one up on my finger. Now I do know this has a little bit more of like a peachy undertone to it, but I still want to do this for comparison purposes in case you have this one in your collection and you're kind of on the fence as to whether or not you really need these shades. Now I know that Urban Decay did come out with holiday palettes last year. I hesitated, waited too long, and never got a hold of them, so I don't have those. But this is going to be the original Space Cowboy, and then you had these shades over here. So you can definitely see that the comparison of Space Cowboy to Space Cowboy Rides Again is a little bit different. I feel like Space Cowboy is just a little bit deeper, and it is a little bit more on the peachy side as far as undertone goes, and it doesn't even match these shades over here. But let's compare it to the other palette. Now, obviously, there's not going to be any comparisons either because you do have two of the same shades, and then the other Moondust shade is going to be a deeper taupey shade, but I still want to compare it anyway. And if you do have these shade, it gives you a good visual as to what it's going to look like with the rest of this palette. Okay, so we're zoomed in. I did go ahead and prime my eyes with my Beauty Bay eye base so we can start creating our look with the Star palette. So for this, I'm just gonna do a very simple basic look. I'm just gonna use these three mattes in my crease to kind of deepen everything up, and then we'll play with these shimmers on the lid. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with that lighter cream shade, which is called Vibing. And I am going to pick that up with a Rephr 16 brush. And I'm just gonna start by kind of fluffing this in to the crease of my lid. Now this is going to be very close to my skin tone, so I'm not going to get a whole lot of contrast with this one. I will get a little bit because obviously the undertone is different, but definitely keep your skin tone in mind when you're looking at these palettes because they do run very much so on the lighter side. So if you have a deeper skin tone, I don't know if the Star palette is going to be the perfect choice for you, but I do think the quad would look beautiful on all skin tones. All right, so with that same brush, I just kind of wiped it off. I'm gonna go in to this shade up here, which is called VIP Only. It's this really pretty kind of rose matte shade. And I'm gonna put this one on my outer corner, and I'm gonna bring it up into my crease just a little bit, kind of blending everything together, making sure we don't have any harsh lines. And then I'm also gonna go back and take that shade down onto my lower lash line as well. And I am gonna bring it all the way across. So with a Rephr 13 brush, I'm going to go into this matte with sparkle shade over here, which is called No Sleep Club. Now this is one of those that if you kind of pack the shade on your lid, you can see a little bit of that sparkle. But if you go in and you just kind of fluff it in the crease or along the lid or anything like that, that is going to go away. So personally, I don't mind a matte with shimmer in it. I kind of prefer just a regular matte because of the way that I like to do my makeup. It is just going to fluff away. You're not going to see that sparkle, but I do understand why they do it. Sometimes it makes it just a little bit easier to disperse the shade and have it blend out, but this is going to give the depth that I want from this palette. So I'm also going to take this down onto the outer portion of my lower lash line as well. That is a really pretty shade. I'm not having any issues as far as performance goes with these mattes. They're all nice and pigmented. They're going on really nicely. I'm not getting any patching or skipping, and I'm not getting any fallout either. So far, really nice formula from Urban Decay. All right, so for all over the lid, I think I want to do a combination of these two shades right here, and then maybe do Space Cowboy Rides Again on the inner corner. Now you can absolutely go in with just one of these kind of all over the lid. You can kind of mix and match, do ones and dones, things like that, but I just want to try and use every single shade in the palette. So I have already gone ahead and primed my lid with my NYX glitter primer per usual, and I'm going to start with this shade right here, which is called A-List Energy. It's this really pretty peachy pink shade. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one up with my finger, and I am going to tap this on a majority of my lid. Not all of it, but I'm going to bring it over to about right there, and then I'm going to kind of line it up with that matte shade that I put down. That is really pretty. See how it just has a nice sparkle reflection to it, and it just adds that little pop of something. Like I said, these aren't going to have flips or twists or anything like that. If you have a large collection of indies, these are not going to be impressive, but I do still think they're really pretty. And like I said, I don't always need that to make a really pretty look. All right, so next I'm gonna go into this taupey shimmer down here, which is called Endless Party. And I'm just gonna pop this one right here where that matte and that shimmer meet, just to give a little bit of a dimension, a little bit of a blend, and really just kind of get the use out of all these shades. But that is absolutely beautiful. And lastly, we're going to go into this shade in the middle called Space Cowboy Rides Again, and I'm going to pop this one on my inner corner. I am going to go back and pick this up and try and use it as a highlighter to see kind of how it performs and what it does on the cheek. But I went ahead and picked this up with a Game Beauty EO4, and I'm going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus. I have my new bottle. I probably should have primed it. Oh, that is a very fine mist. Okay, I like that. I wasn't sure I was going to because I absolutely love the OG bottle. I know a lot of people don't. They have a lot of issues with it, but I have never experienced one, and I did hang on to mine just in case I didn't like the mister on this one, but I think I'm gonna like it. That is really pretty. All right, so last we're gonna try this shade as a highlighter on my cheek. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick it up with this one from Unearthly, and I'm just gonna kind of put this on my cheek. Now I do already have a highlighter on, so you do already see a little bit of that sheen, but like I said, I wanna see what this is going to do. Now I can definitely see some of those particles kind of flying around my face as I put it on, but I have to say this is going on very smooth. It's not chunky or anything like that. If you like a very sparkly highlighter, you can definitely use these for that purpose, but if you do not like sparkle, you're not going to like this. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look with this palette, and I think this turned out really pretty. Performance-wise, I didn't have any issues. The mattes were nice and pigmented. They went on really nicely. They blended out beautifully, and I didn't get any patching or skipping, and there was minimal kick up in the pan. And then, of course, the Moondust shadows are absolutely beautiful. They went on exactly as I expected them to. They are nice and sparkly, smooth. They're not emphasizing texture. They don't feel heavy or chunky or anything like that. And I do think that one Space Cowboy Rides Again shade does look really pretty as a highlighter, but like I said, it is very sparkly. I can see a little bit of like the glitter in my hair, so something to keep in mind before you go in and put it all over your face. But let me show you what I used to finish off this look so we can turn down the lights. I can show you all the beautiful sparkles in these shades, and then we can come back and I can give you my first initial impression thoughts with these two palettes. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal Liner in the shade Cinnamon. I lined my lid with my ZC Liquid Liner and finished everything off with my Charmacy Volume Mascara. All right, y'all, so first impression, I really like these palettes. I think they're super cute. I think they're a really nice release for the holidays, and I had a lot of fun playing with them, swatching them out, and doing side-by-side comparisons. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I do really enjoy the Moondust formula from Urban Decay. Not only are they pretty and sparkly on the lid, but it's just a really good, solid formula. They're nice and smooth. They're not chunky with the glitter particles in there. They don't emphasize texture or sit funny on the lid, and I never have any creasing. They also have a really good variety of colors throughout the line outside of these two palettes. But I do want to chat about these two palettes individually because I have thoughts on each one of them. So let's go ahead and start with the Star palette because this is the one that I have on my eyes, and this is the one that you're going to get the most variety out of. So starting with the packaging, I think this is really cute. It kind of reminds me of the fun stuff that Urban Decay, Tarte, and Too Faced used to do back in the day before everybody got boring and gave us the same thing. I think it's a lot of fun. But with that being said, this is very cheap plastic packaging. I feel like it's going to break after I kind of toss it around, use a little bit, especially if you travel. I wish it had been cardboard and maybe it flipped up and gave us a mirror because this is a $49 palette. So essentially it's $50 and it feels very cheap for a $50 palette. But the formula in here is really nice. The mattes I didn't have any issue with. They built up on my lid really nicely. They were pigmented. They blended out beautifully. I didn't get any patching, skipping, or fallout. Very minimal kick up in the pan. I found these mattes to be very easy to work with. Now I do like that we got 3 mattes in here, but this palette is not going to work for every skin tone across the board because of the mattes that they chose. If you have anything deeper than probably a medium skin tone, the mattes in here aren't going to work for you. And as somebody with a fair skin tone, I do wish that these shades had been a little bit different. I like this one right here, but I wish this one had been maybe a little bit lighter or maybe a different tone. And this one over here had been just a little bit different. Again, that comes down to my personal preferences, but like I said, it's not gonna work for every skin tone across the board. So as far as inclusivity goes, this isn't that great. I do think the Moondust shades in here are beautiful. I like the shades that they chose. You do get these two shades right here in both of the palettes, and this is going to be a different one. You can get lots of different looks with this palette, lots of variety. This would be a really good gift for somebody who is a very simple person when it comes to their makeup. Maybe they don't have a huge collection, they wear the same thing every day. This would be really good to bring a little bit of variety into their collection, or maybe you have someone in your life who is just getting into makeup. This would be a really good place to start because the quality in here is really nice and I did not find it hard to work with. But moving on to the quad. Now this one I think would work for anybody across the board, no matter your skin tone or your preferences. It's beautiful. I like the shade selection in here, and again, these are the two shades that we have that repeat in both palettes. I understand why they did it because they're probably going to be the two most popular shades in the palette. I do think they are the prettiest. They're my two favorites. So it's nice that you don't have to pick up both palettes if you want these shades. But with that being said, if you're like me and you're a glutton for punishment and you do pick up both palettes, you are going to get repeating shades. But I do think they're shades that I would get a lot of use out of, so I'm not really upset about it. It's not like it's a shade that I won't get any use out of. But like I said, this is beautiful. I think it would work well for everybody across the board. And again, I think this would make a really good gift. I'm not just talking Christmas gift. I'm talking about any gift, any holiday, birthday, whatever the case may be, whether you have like a Secret Santa or maybe you have like a holiday party. This would be a really good one. This would also be a really nice stocking stuffer or something good to give to somebody who is maybe a little simple with their makeup and they just need like something to kind of jazz it up a little bit. I do really like this palette. Overall, I think these are really cute. I don't think you need both of them, but if you're like me and you want to have both of them, I don't think you'd be disappointed. I think they're a lot of fun, but that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all found this super helpful with the swatches and the comparisons, but let me know all of your thoughts down below. Did you pick up either of these palettes? Did you pick up both of these palettes? Do you like the Moondust shades from Urban Decay? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.